Starting now. This is Real People. Real issues. Real news. Real people.
I'm Stephanie Allensworth, and this is Real People.
This is Real People.
Hi, welcome to Real People. I'm Stephanie Allensworth. Today I am very honored to have a guest that hails all the way from Italy. It is Damanhur ambassador and Damanhur University teacher, Crotalo Sesamo. Welcome.
Thank you, Stephanie. It's a pleasure to be here.
I hope I did not slaughter your name.
No, you did perfect.
Thank you.
Almost like an Italian.
I tried to sound like an Italian.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the Damanhur Mystery School. What is this all about?
Well, we probably need to talk a little bit about Damanhur and what it is. So Damanhur is one of the largest spiritual communities in the world. We've been established Damanhur in 1975. So it's more than 44 years that we are existing. We are in the north of Italy, nearby the city of Baldissero Canavese, a very interesting area. Actually, we choose this area because energetically speaking for us is extremely important. And Damanhur has been starting from the dream of a group of people, and the leader of this group, the spiritual guidance was from Oberto Iraudi, Falco in Damanhur. That has this vision of creating, a place where we could live every day our spiritual research, a place that could be a place of inspiration, in a sort of way where to create a dream that could inspire other dreamers to dream what could be the dream of their life. And little by little, Damanhur, for this first group of founders, we talk about 12, 15 people, is becoming now a community, a federation of community with more than 1,000 people, where we create literally like a new civilization, a new society. And Damanhur is also very well known for the Temple of Humankind, as we call it, an underground temple, built completely by hands from us. Is more than 6,000 square meters underground, so it's more than a building of a 16th floor, that in this case are following sacred geometry that are connecting to these very important energy lines that in this place we believe are present. And the Temple of Humankind is dedicated to the humankind because we are not a religion. So as a spiritual research, we are researching into the mystery, knowing that the mystery is not going to be stopped by the research, but actually a mystery can open also other interpretation, other vision of the mystery. And that's the reason why then we brought not only in our way of living, but also then in our teaching, not only for us, but for everyone, what we call the mystery school. So the idea that through the spirituality, we can really find out the answer from the question that normally we all are, let's say, involved in a sort of moment of our life. So who I am, from where I'm coming from, and probably even more important, what I have to do here, which is the mission of my life.
Right, right. Well, looking at pictures, it seems impossible that it's only 40 years old because it seems so ancient. The feel is ancient. The mystery school itself is an ancient, not religion, but an ancient
Absolutely.
Way of a belief.
But, probably because when we talk about spirituality, but even more when we bring the concept of the knowledge. The knowledge, in a sort of way, it's always the same all over the time and all over the world. We might change the terminology, we might change the way to express the things, because obviously we have to adapt them to the culture, to the civilization of the moment. But it's always absolutely the same thing. So there's nothing to invent, but probably there is something to remember. So that's the reason why in spiritual research, many times we talk about a spiritual reawakening. So it's true, coming to Damanhur or visiting the temple, it looks really like to visit something extremely ancient, and at the same time there is also the feeling of visiting something that is coming from the future. Like to imagine that going so back into time, it might bring us to a possible future of the humankind. Again, like to imagine that we have to remember something that we lost, and now maybe it's time to bring it back.
Yes, and bring it back all over the world, not just in Italy and not just in the United States, but everywhere. This should be a way of living for humankind, which is why you call it the Temple of Humankind, correct?
Exactly.
Humankind.
Kind.
Emphasis on kind. We need to be more kind.
Absolutely. I mean, be kind is actually one of the elements of our spirituality, because be kind, it starts from the idea of the respect of the other's ideas, the respect of the others. But in this case, yes, it's very important to bring practical example in the everyday life. Obviously, we don't believe that we have the truth or that we are the perfect one in the planet. Absolutely not. So we are people that are trying to believe and to live in what they are believing every day. But we need, in a world that is becoming more and more virtual in a certain way, practical example that can inspire people not to do the same, but to do even better. So in this case, Damanhur could be, an inspiration, not to do as we are doing, but to do even better. So to bring people to find inside of themselves in what to believe, and then to put it in practice. Because this is what we really need. Not a spirituality that is only theory or beautiful concept, but also a spirituality that is really going to affect our everyday life, that is going to transform me, that is going to make me a better person, a better parent, a better teachers, a better husband, a better person in general, for what it means becoming something that is not just driven by what my society or the culture is telling me are values, but from the values that are really the values that I have inside of myself. So in this case, we believe in something that is practically going to change your life, but probably also to inspire the life of other people, and literally to spiritualize the matter. So to bring into the matter that meaning that, for example, you can bring when we talk about art. The reason why in Damanhur there is so many arts, so many laboratories, because through art you can use universal languages to bring these values, this meaning, these dreams available for everyone. The fact that through the architecture, through the sacred geometry, you can create a temple, beside the fact that people can believe in one thing or in other things. It brings them to feel that this architecture is bringing a special energy, so you feel better. You might enter in a more peaceful modality, or you can really enter in a meditation that can help you to feel. To feel again from inside what they could be the messages that are going to then have an effect in your everyday life. Right,
and healing basically from the inside, and healing old scars and imprints that were put upon us, before we even knew we had free will. So let's talk a little bit about free will and how that impacts things. That segue.
Well, the free will, it's definitely one of the most important element of our spiritual ideas. In our spiritual research, we talk about the fact that our soul, it's a divine spark. So, and talking about something that is divine, it can really bring us to imagine that in a certain way, what many different spiritual research, they talk about the enlightenment, it could be not only to transform the matter into light, but could be also a process in which I reawake my divinity. I reawake my divine spark. So, as a divinity, I have the power to create. I have the power to transform. But all of this can pass through only through what we call the free will. What you just said is, the power of our choices. So how I can change myself, I can transform my life, I can be a better person, I can bring into the matter these meanings. Well, only through action, only through choices. Are the choices that are going to make us again divine. It's only through the free will that I can really transform my life and make my experience affecting myself.
I really like that. And by doing that, we also inspire others to use their free will in a positive way, because we can make poor choices, let's say, with our free will. It's like, when I look at the chocolate cake and say, I know I really shouldn't eat that, but then, and then I
This is temptation.
And that is, yeah. I mean, that's a very small example.
No, of
but on a bigger scale, I think countries have been using the free will of the masses to do a lot of things that aren't in the direction of peace and harmony in humankind. They seem to be in direct opposition to it. So I'm hoping that the Damanhur School and the lifestyle does spread, and people are re-intuned or retuned to know that they have a choice and know that they have free will, and they don't have to listen to the naysayers.
This is very important, and I think that you are underlining a point that is really a key for the future of this planet. It's responsibility and respect. That are, let's say, the secret ingredient of the use of the free will. We have to remember that the free will is sacred. No, nobody can change it. So obviously you can influence the choice, the free will of people, but the free will at the end, it's your personal choice. The reason why we need practical example is because this world is being more and more globalized, but in this sense even a little bit flat, where the diversity is becoming a problem instead of an advantage. So we need to have different ideas. We need to respect the fact that we are a multiple reality, that people are not the same, that the different cultures are bringing us not to be separated, but in this case to bring into the diversity the real seed of evolution. So Damanhur in this case also in our path, that is the community, that is the intentional community, that is living together, that, I mean, could be, you know, something challenging. And I have to say, it is challenging for sure, because living in a community is a great opportunity to do what? Well, to create a field in which you are really experimenting every day what we are learning, spiritually speaking. Because when you live together with others, well, the others, they have this incredible possibility or talent to be a mirror. It's the mirror effect. So in the others, we are reflecting ourselves. So what I maybe don't like of a person is exactly what maybe I don't like of myself. So
you say reflecting, we call that projecting.
Reflecting, projecting. Thank you. You know, I'm still Italian, so my English is still my second language. But thank you for that. So in this projection, so we can really find an instrument that is going to be very effective, because I mean it's working every day. When you are strong, when you're weak, when you love to be with others, when you love just to be by yourself, when you feel so joyful, when you have your difficulties. So living in community is an incredible accelerator of all this process, and also a possibility for people not to feel alone and to feel that together they can really change their life and maybe change in the world. So I know that following spirituality sometimes bring people to be isolated or strange, because they are not doing the same things that they was doing every day with the friends or with the parents and etc. So it's difficult. In a sort of way, it's like to be a pioneer. You need to be really, strong to continue to feel inside that this is the way, because maybe it's not exactly how you did the things before. So there's always someone else that, like you, is looking for a common feeling. And this, it makes people to be groups, to be team, to be community. So that's the reason why we are also teaching how to create successful community, not in this case Damanhur community, but to bring people to find out that together they can really create dreams.
Right.
And together they really have the power. Unfortunately, we are living in a society that they have the tendency to keep us separated, to keep distance. We are so connected with a smartphone, we can connect with the entire world, and at the same time we are so separated by each other. So when we are really putting ourselves together, we find out that, alone I can do a lot of things, but together I can do everything. I don't have limits. Everything is possible.
We had a meeting just a week ago at my day job, and we were talking about inclusion. And I chose to speak about exclusion because you can't understand inclusion until you understand exclusion, what it feels like to be deliberately excluded and to be shunned by a group or by a special club, an exclusive club, which is, just by its title, exclusive. It excludes people by race, by financial and economic barriers, and by class, the separations by class. And what I see Damanhur doing is breaking down all of that and saying, this one woman did say something about, well, there's also another jeune, it's intrusion. So if somebody doesn't want to join and you're trying to pull them in, you know, you have to respect that as well.
Of course.
And let them come naturally, organically. You can't force anyone, or shouldn't force anyone to make a choice they don't want to make, and say, oh, it's going to be fun, I swear. So the inclusion part, however, is important to just remember that it shouldn't be forced, but it should be a goal. It should drop the biases, take down the silos, include people, welcome people, learn about this planet. There's so much we don't know. And it goes on and on and on forever. I mean, there's so much.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
We are full of invisible barrier. And in this case, we really need to, you know, to take off this barrier and to go close to people, because at the end, we are all human.
Yes.
So we are so particular, we are really diamond, but at the same time, we are all the same. So we are all human, coming from the same, let's say, divine spark,
Right.
coming back to the example of before. So we need to find out into the diversity the seed of what is the evolution, and not the seed of the conflict, because more we are separated, more we don't understand each other, more we create a conflict, and that we know, unfortunately, how it goes.
Well, let's go to the university then and talk about what you offer there, what the classes are, and where people can learn more about Damanhur.
Well, definitely, you know, from our spiritual experience, the need then to share more and more what we've been researching in the field of spirituality, it then brought to create the Damanhur University. That is actually, well, not a classical university like the one that we can imagine, but a university of all the spiritual research, where researching in this case is researching in the field of the beyond, in the field of the invisible, in the field of the energy, in what we feel, what we cannot see. So that is the kind of university that we are talking about. So in the Damanhur University, there is not only how to create successful community, but also all the research that is done in fields like the astral traveling, or the ancient history of the humankind and Atlantis, or what we can call, you know, the research in the past life, or in the field of the personality, or in what we call our spirituality, so the spiritual physics, or how to guide the dreams, or how to talk with the plants, to the trees. So we are touching a variety of elements, a variety of topics that are all connecting to our process of evolution. I don't want to forget alchemy and all the school of the alchemy, the mystery school that actually is including many of the topics that I just said, because it's a process in which you are rediscovering who you are, but truly in all your talent, in all the gifts that you don't even remember you have, until a reopening to the forces, the energy that are constantly interacting with us, until the mission. That is actually a concept that we just briefly touched, but is very much connected to why you're here. Right. So the fact that there is something unique, something very special that you and only you can realize. But also the School of Spiritual Healer, that has been one of the first schools in Europe in 3 years that is going to prepare, to form and to activate people to the use of the prana, of the vital energy, but also of everything that is connected to the nature medicine approach. So something that starts from the let's say the holistic approach, so to the everything and not just to the small details of the body, to then heal everything and everyone, but where the healing is always, again, a spiritual transformation.
Right.
So to heal the others, I need to heal myself. So I need to transform that part of myself that probably are still, let's say, the one that need attention, let's say.
And I personally believe that our bodies are perfect healers as they are if we were to just stop polluting them and with chocolate cake. But you know, the medicine that is coming our way and all of the things that that just keep us sick in order to give us more pills and more pills. I really wish people would understand that if you just removed a lot of that garbage that they're giving you to fix one thing, then have to fix the thing that other thing solved and didn't really solve but masked, and it goes on and on and on. And I say strip all that away. I've done this with a couple people that I've tried to help with family members, but the minute I started taking away all the extra medicine, and because I was allowed to do this, I guess, they started getting better. And I do energy healing, so I channel like you do, and I've had great success with it, and I'm very happy with it. And but the very key is to not take the pills. If something's broken, go to the doctor. If your heart is broken, don't go get an antidepressant. It won't fix it.
Yes, it's a real truth. So what we need also in healing is a balance. It's a balance between what can come from the natural approach and what could be also the classical medicine approach. So we don't need to be against one thing or against another thing. We need to find that kind of balance that is using the best of the things. Obviously in Damanhur we truly believe in natural medicine, because since the beginning Damanhur has been very well known in the field of the prana healing, of the research in what we call the selfika, that is this very ancient technology that is using the sacred geometry combined to different materials like metals or stones or liquids or crystals to catalyze the divine energy, transform it, and then give it back for many different purposes. Actually, the same Temple of Humankind, the underground temple, is the largest selfika structure in the world. So many fields of research that, again, they're going to help us to move from, let's say, something that is very rational to something that is starting to really involve more the feeling, the spiritual path, the emotion, something that comes from inside. And this is the kind of balance that we've been talking.
Yeah, well, thank you for correcting me, because I shouldn't say no medicine, because actually all medicine comes from nature originally, right? Before, Well, and you know that every medicine that we are taking, it's interesting because it's a poison. It's the quantity that makes, a poison than something that can bring healing or not. So again, it's a matter of equilibrium. So it's a matter to being able, like in an alchemy formula, to put exactly what is needed without exceeding in a way or in another. Even water can be toxic. Yeah, you can drink too much water. I don't know if people all know that, but you can. and just water is not good either. You need the extra electrolytes. If you're not getting your minerals, just drinking bottled water, it's not good either. But anyway, so let's get back to the school. I'm sharing too much of my opinion here.
No, that's obviously, it's part of the diversity.
I do. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that out. Let's talk about how you got into the school and how you came to be.
How I came to be? Well, it's a long story, because I arrived in Damanhur that I was very young. More than 31 years ago already, so that one has been my greatest adventure. And as many of you, I've been feeling something inside. That voice, that inner voice that is telling you that life is not only what appears, that there might be something else. Starting to feel, starting to imagine, starting to dream about, things that for me was really real. So it was very synchronic, as we said, for synchronicity. So what is really the bond between all the events. For synchronicity, then I've been introduced in Turin, because I've been born in Torino, that is the city very close to Damanhur, to the center, studying first class in harmonization. It is all based in use of the breathing, sounds, use of colors, and etc. And then when I arrived to Damanhur, my inner voice was literally screaming, because this voice was always telling me that it was a place where I have to go and live my life. But you are young, you might imagine that is your fantasy, etc. But Damanhur, since that moment, it was for me the place where to go to live. So I changed completely my life. I started to work actually in the center where I've been joining the first seminars, and then I did almost all my entire life in Damanhur what I'm doing. So from being, a secretary of a Damanhur center, then started to become, a healer, then a teacher, then an ambassador, and then starting to travel all over the world to open Damanhur centers, to open Damanhur reference points. Damanhur actually is becoming more and more famous. So a few years ago, we've been also invited at the UN to speak as one of the community that is being actually prized by the UN years before as an example of intentional community. So I had also the honor to be there and to speak at the UN for Damanhur. So everything, it comes, let's say, very smoothly. Even if I have to tell you the truth, I didn't come to Damanhur to do what I'm doing. So this was, let's say, part of the realization of what is probably my mission.
Well, since we're talking about Damanhur all over the world, then let's talk about the Minnesota connection. How did you, and we're very, very honored to have you here, come to Minnesota, and what are the goals for Minnesota?
Well, again, for synchronicity, we met, the right people here in Minnesota that was joining the class, and then, they start with the idea of creating, the first class here. So we had, this first weekend, and the hope is to start, a mystery school, or in any case, to bring more and more people to be introduced to this practical spirituality. So it's definitely my intention to come back and to, let's say, bring the seed of something that can grow even more. By the way, my name, Crotalo Sesamo, maybe people knows or not, but it's one of the particular things of Damanhur are representing animal and plants name. So Crotalo, it is the rattlesnake, but I'm not dangerous. I'm not going to bite anyone.
We have to wrap it up.
Sesamo is the plants of the sesame seed.
Thank you so much for being here. We're so honored. I'm Stephanie Allensworth with Crotalo Sesamo, and thank you for being here. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.